Okay, great. I'll go ahead and get started. So just to introduce myself first, my name is Ava, and I'm an enrollment coordinator for CIEE. So I work with high school students specifically in New York City and Long Island, and I help enroll them in our high school summer abroad programs. And so I also have some great alumni here with me today that you're going to hear later on in the webinar about their experiences on our French programs. But I'm just going to have them quickly introduce themselves and tell you where they went abroad, just for a little preview of what you're going to hear about today. I'll start with Vanessa.
Hi, I'm Vanessa, and I studied in Toulouse for the French language and culture program.
Perfect, thank you. Halia, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Halia, and last fall I went on the Toulouse semester program.
Perfect. I'll have Tamia go next.
Hi, I'm Tamia, and I studied fashion design and French culture in Paris.
Perfect, thank you. And then I'll go Jonathan and then Alina.
Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I went to Toulouse, France for the French language and culture program.
Hi, I'm Elena. I went on the Toulouse Language and Culture program with Jonathan and Vanessa.
Nice, awesome. So you'll definitely hear a lot more about their experience and see some pictures from their summer abroad. But first, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background on CIEE and our programs. So this is just a map that I like to show that just shows all the different locations that you can go abroad on our high school summer programs. I know today we're here to talk about our French programs, but if there are any locations that are of interest to you, as you can see, we are really spread out throughout the world. So there's definitely programs that can align with your interests or any places you were looking to travel to. And then this is just a little bit of background on CIE and why we do what we do. So we are one of the oldest and largest study abroad organizations. We are also a nonprofit organization. So we try to make this experience as accessible as possible to as many students as we can. So we give out around $7 million in scholarships every year, when we actually run one of the largest scholarship funds for high school students. So this is just some great things about CIE and kind of what drives us to do the work that we do. So we have two types of programs for high school summer abroad. So I'll just quickly go over our two different types of programs. So our first type of program is our topic programs. And these are 3-week long programs that are based in different subjects such as STEM, fashion design, which you'll hear a little bit more about today. Culinary arts in France is one of our new topic programs in France, actually. So that's a really exciting program that we're seeing a lot of interest with. We also have video game design in Japan, sports management, really any different topic that you can think of. We have a program that may align with that interest. And so for these programs, they're 3-week long programs where you're going and taking classes in English based on that subject. And then in the afternoons, you would be going into the field and kind of getting a firsthand experience on what that field looks like in another country. So it's a really unique experience if you do have a field you're passionate about, and are maybe thinking you want to study that in college or beyond. That's definitely a great opportunity for you. Or if you just want to explore a new topic that you might not be very familiar with, this is a great way to do it. And so quickly for those, you would be staying in a dorm, hotel, and a hostel, or a hostel with your group members. And you would also have the chance to earn up to 50 hours of community service credits. So that's a great way to kind of knock those credits off if you do have a high school requirement for community service, or you're part of a honor society that requires that. This is a really great and interactive way to earn that credit. So we also have our language programs, which are 4-week long programs, which a lot of our alumni that are here today did attend a language program for French. So as you can see, we have 9 different languages. We're constantly kind of growing our different languages. We actually added 2 new languages this year, which is really exciting. And so these are 4-week long programs where you're going and taking language courses, as well as doing cultural activities to really immerse yourself in the language and learn as much of the language within those 4 weeks as possible. Students say, and I'm sure you'll hear from our alumni today, that a month at a CIE language program can almost equal up to a year of a high school language class. And this is just because of how much you're going into the city and practicing the language, whether that's with staying with your homestay and talking to them at dinner, or going on different day trips with them, or just going out into the city and ordering at a restaurant or going into the grocery store. You're really getting that constant practice that can really boost your language skills. You also would have the opportunity to earn college credit through our language courses. So you can get up to 4 college credits, which equals 1 college class. That's a great way to kind of knock a requirement right off the bat before you even get to college. You also have the opportunity to earn the Global Seal of Biliteracy. And so how this works is you would take a test after the program ends that would kind of just judge how much you grew in the language after those 4 weeks. And a Global Seal of Biliteracy is, again, another great thing that you can add onto your college application to kind of just set you apart from your peers, and also just show that you have this improvement in skills and language from a different country, which is a really great thing to just take with you going throughout college applications and beyond. So now we're going to go into our alumni slides, which I'm really excited about. So they're just going to tell you a little bit about their experiences, their favorite parts of the program, days in the life, and just their different takeaways from their programs. So I'll pass it off to them.
Hi guys, I'm Tamia, and to reintroduce my program, I studied fashion design and French culture abroad in Paris. It was a topic program, so I was there for 3 weeks. And if I had to describe my experience in one word, I would say it was very colorful. So to start with daily life, my group had morning excursions where we would get to see places like the Eiffel Tower or the Louvre, and we would have free time afterwards where we could explore in the area in groups until 2:30. After 2:30, we would return to the CIE Center for class for 3 hours, the CIEE class center, sorry. We would return there for 3 hours, and in the beginning of the class, since we were fashion and design, we learned about the history of fashion in France and around the world, and we ended up learning about modern fashion, sorry. And for the program, we were tasked to create a hat at the end of our 3 weeks. So in order to get a little bit of inspiration, most of our excursions in the mornings and in the afternoons, because we had some in the afternoons, were artistic based. Like I mentioned, we saw the Louvre, and we also went to various museums, art museums we could get in for free, clothing museums. We got to go to a museum where we got to like test our proficiency in smelling the fragrances made in perfumes. So even though we were more focused on clothes, we did still get to explore other artistic aspects of the fashion world. I would say that my favorite part of the trip was probably the free time that we had. Like we had a lot of free time after class. We had around 3 hours, and we would have 2 to 4 hours after our morning excursion, depending on what we were doing. And even though it was a topic program and it was taught in English, I still got like a lot of time to explore France with my friends, and I still got to practice my French a good amount of time when I was in grocery stores or interacting with the locals. I would say that this program is good for people who, even if like you don't know French, this is still a good program for you because it's taught completely in English. And we did have the benefit of having French classes once a week. Beginners would take beginners classes, and if you were a little better, they would put you in an intermediate class. And another thing that I really liked about the program is that not everything was based like artistically on clothes. We had a lot of other activities. Like you can see in some of my pictures, the show, it's kind of in the top right. We got to go to a bakery and we made our own show. And also the cheese that is closer to the bottom right. We got to do some taste testing for different types of cheeses in France. I think I said that it was the top right for the show. It is the top left.
Great. Thank you, Tamia. Go on to our next slide.
So, hello, I'm Vanessa, and I'm going to talk about my experience studying abroad in Toulouse, France for the French language and culture programs. I had a really amazing experience. I stayed with a host family. They're pictured in the top right, and I know a lot of people get really nervous when they hear, oh, you're going to stay with a French family. You don't know them. What if they don't like me? But I feel like it really helps with the learning of your French because you're living with, actual French people. You're learning their customs directly from them instead of a textbook or lessons from your French teacher. And I just feel like that's really important. And you learn so much firsthand through these programs with your French language, because in the mornings we would do classes, and then in the afternoons we were having free time, and we were also doing culture activities because it's a French language and culture program. And in the classroom, you learn a lot about the grammar and actual like writing, reading of French, but you don't get as much practice in the actual real life interactions, such as going to the grocery store, like Tamia said, or I don't know, just meeting people on the street, because we would have these speaking assignments regularly to speak to people in Toulouse, and it was just really amazing. I made a lot of good friendships that I still keep up with some of my friends today, and it's a really valuable experience. You get firsthand knowledge with a language that I feel like you don't get that opportunity while you're in high school very often, because we live in the United States where almost everybody speaks exclusively English. And with these study abroad programs, you are experiencing firsthand the actual culture. You're making cultural comparisons, you're reading French articles, and you're presenting projects each week. You have a little bit of homework, but it's very manageable, and I think it just really helps aid in that, like they said earlier, the 1 year of French that you can learn compared in a classroom to 4 weeks in the actual country. And then there are the 3 different levels, and you're tested in. So you're not going to be in over your head if you just know a little bit of French. But if you know more, you just, no matter what you're learning, and it's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. Yeah, you highlighted so many great things, both of you guys. And I love also that you're still in touch with a lot of your friends from your program. That's always so exciting for us to hear.
Hi guys, I'm Jonathan and this is my slide. I'm gonna talk more about my experience as a guy on this program because there was a very short amount of us. But I have to say that this was like a very, let's say, magical experience. Um, um, I did. It was like this is my first time traveling like alone into Europe at that. So I was there. I was definitely like very scared about what to expect coming here. And also, this is my first year. That past summer was my first year of taking French, so I really did not know anything. And what they say about the classes truly being like a 1 year of French is true because I literally learned everything I learned in French 1 in this program, and I even learned a little bit more than before. And so it was just really fun for me. And if you're worried out that there isn't like, if there are any guys in this Zoom meeting, and if you're worried about that there's no guys in the program, there definitely are. There are a few, but there are, and that was like really reassuring for me. And like you will make friends even if they aren't guys. And honestly, it was just really fun for me. Like I learned more, like I learned more French. I was very comfortable speaking with people surprisingly because languages to me are very hard to speak. I can understand more, and I definitely did understand a lot more than I did before coming to Toulouse. So yeah, I just felt that I really learned a lot, and that sorry about that. That I really learned a lot, and that it was like truly a joy. And also like some of these pictures, these are some of the activities that we did. Like up on the very top, we did baking bread, and that was really fun. My first time baking bread, and then my first time canoeing. I did amazing at canoeing. Just gonna brag a little bit. I was like the first one to the end of the port thingy. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, very proud of myself for that. So yeah, that's pretty much my experience. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, that's a great perspective to have. I also like that you mentioned about never taking French before going on the program. I do see that we had a question about that in the chat. So just in case you didn't see that, our programs in Rennes and Toulouse, you do not have to have any prior experience. So you can be a complete beginner and you would be placed into a class with other complete beginners. For other French programs, we do usually require some years of high school French, but you do take a test prior to getting there just to make sure that you are placed into the right level. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second. We have another alumni slide that I wasn't able to put on the PowerPoint for some reason. So I'm going to stop sharing and then you can see her slide.
When we swap this, could you guys quickly mention what grade you were in when you traveled?
I was a junior. I did it this past summer.
Yeah, I was also a junior. I applied to my junior year and then went in to the summer coming to my senior year.
I
I'm
did the
currently
summer. Oh, sorry.
sorry, you go.
I did it the summer between my sophomore and junior year.
Me too.
Great, thank you. And that's very representative of the majority, I think, of our student body. A lot are either sophomore or juniors. I think juniors being the biggest contingent of students. But you can apply as early as 9th grade.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, I'll have this is Lena's slide, so I'll have her share a little bit now.
Hi, I'm Elena. I also went to Toulouse and I was actually on the same program as Vanessa and Jonathan. Um, and I went abroad sort of not thinking about anything. I was just extremely excited. My brother and actually a lot of people from our school had studied abroad with CIE, so I like knew what to expect. But I will say, like, I had an amazing experience that was completely unique and completely my own. Um, and I cherish the time I spent there so much, and I miss Toulouse a lot. My host family's on the right, like sort of in the middle, and my host sister is in the middle with me in the sunflowers. We are still in touch now. They send me gifts from France, and I send them gifts from America. My host sister knew about where I lived because of the show Outer Banks, and she really wants to visit. So I hope that can happen soon. I really made I really truly believe that the program changed my life because I got a taste of being independent and how much I love city life. And I was just thrown into the experience that was kind of hard at first with being homesick, but I think I grew so much as a person and like beyond like my French skills, which improved greatly. But yeah, I really like, I know that I came back more mature and just with more skills as a young woman. My pictures I had a really fun time taking pictures in Toulouse. Um, the sunset on the left is one of my favorites. I lived kind of far away from the city, but, it was kind of my favorite part. I got to take the train with my friends every morning, and so, yeah, that was a morning. Um I did a lot of exploring on my own of the city, and I also hung out with friends, which you can see in the pictures. And yeah, my host family actually took me to a couple of towns on the weekends that we had with them. So yeah, I really love my host family. They were amazing. And I told them on the first day that I was with them that my favorite flower was a sunflower, and we drove to this field of sunflowers, and that's the picture in the middle. Um, but yeah, I had an amazing time.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'll stop sharing just one more time.
As you're doing this, what there's a good question in the chat. Did anyone face any challenges due to language barrier, and how did you overcome them? Be cool to hear from a couple of you guys. Maybe Jonathan, who had very little French, and maybe someone who was more comfortable in French.
So me, for definitely, it was a challenge at first. Like, I was really afraid of speaking in French, especially to my host family, and it was just very hard. And I had like a roommate who was a very more advanced than me, so he spoke more to them, and I was like really just shy, and I was really scared. But as like the as the weeks went by, I started to get more comfortable in it, and as I understood more and more, I did speak more to my host family and to like local shopkeepers and all that stuff. And I was like, it was really hard to like break through that fear and anxiety of like speaking badly and everything. But I did it, and it was really fun, and no one really judged me for it.
I can talk a little bit more about that too. I feel like there's a stereotype about French people that they're a little snobby and stuck up, but I feel like from my experience, they really do want to help you. If you're making that effort to speak their language, they will help you.
I can also talk for people that do know a little more French, I I went to a French immersion school for like 8 years of my life, and even when I went to France, I still felt like I didn't like it was just a big shock from how fast everybody was speaking, and it was like different than what I normally used to, I guess, especially when I was going to school in France at like a regular high school. But you'll meet like the greatest people there that you'll be friends with, and they'll help you out, and no one's gonna make fun of you for it, and never make you feel bad about it. And so yeah, like everybody there is there to help you, and the friends that you make there will always like be there for you, and they'll be able to like send notes or help you understand something, translate something if you don't get it.
Great, thank you. And Holly, do you want to speak a little bit more about your specific experience on the program too?
Yeah, yeah. I had a slideshow, but I don't know if it got uploaded. But yeah, so it was definitely something that was like amazing and super different than anything I've ever done before, but it was something that I really wanted to do since I was little, and I always knew that I wanted to go abroad for a semester. And I was a sophomore in high school, so this was this time last year, and I went for the fall semester, and it was really amazing, and I made a ton of friends, and I had a great host family, and I thought it was great. I got even more connected to my host family, being there for so long, like 4 months, I think. And, it was great because I got to meet French people from the high school that I went to, like, the local high school. So I had friends from America on the program, but also from France that I still connect to, and they were all so fun to be with, and we would go out to, like, lunch sometimes or go over to their houses, and it was really just great, and they were all so fun to have in my class, and they would always help me out, which was so fun. And then I didn't live exactly in Toulouse. I was in a city called Montesh, which was about 30 minutes on the train from Toulouse. But anytime anyone wanted to meet up, the train was super cheap and like maybe 5 euros max, sometimes even one. So I would take the train to the city, and I would do that like a few times a week to meet with people in the city, and it was amazing. And then our host family was always like, um, they were like always super nice, and we would always go out to like do fun stuff on the weekend. Like we would go, they had these things called brocantes, and it's like basically a garage sale, but like everybody in the neighborhood, and you would come on the street, and it was like basically like you go shopping through other people's things. It's like thrifting, and it was a lot of fun, and I found a lot of cute clothes and like souvenirs, and it was just a fun activity to do with my host family. And we would always play like games because they had a little kid that was 10, and we would play like games with balloons all the time, and it was just so fun like at dinner sitting together, and I would like learn so much from them, and they would learn a lot too. And it was just like I had another family that was like away from home, I guess. And they really helped me improve my French. And out of all of my years of French, I feel like I learned like I got exponentially better there. It was just the biggest differences because they have like their own sort of slang language and everything that you would never know existed from textbooks in the US, I guess. And yeah, it was really just amazing. The best thing ever.
Thank you, Holly. That sounds amazing. Thank you for so much information about the host family too. I think you gave a really good insight onto what that experience looks like. And we hear most experiences with host families are just as positive as yours. So I'm really glad that you were able to experience that. Alina, did you have something to add to that?
I just no, I lived in Montec too, which is just cool.
Oh yeah, it was a really pretty city.
Awesome. So cool. We have another question out if anyone wants to talk about their experience with this. Someone asked, how did the program help you to feel more comfortable living away from home?
I can answer this one. For me, I had never been away from home before, so it was like the first time I'd been away by myself. And at first it was kind of hard. Like I was homesick, but I think I just got through it by like I talked to some of my friends who had had the same experience, and I kind of realized that like I should sort of live in the moment. Like it was a hard switch to make, but that's what I had to decide, that like I wanted to make the most of my time there. And then at the end, like I did not want to go home, and I still miss it and I still want to go back. Um but I think that like it really was like like I was thrown in deep water like experience, but sometimes that's the best way to learn.
I would just like to add that Um, to me, I thought I was also never away from home, and I thought, like, I would be, like, miserable and, like, depressed from being away from home, but I was actually, like, fine. I was, like, not missing anyone from home, I was just chilling there, having the time of my life, and I think it really helped the fact that I also had, like, a roommate at my homestay, and it was, like, really nice to, like, just connect with him and, like, talk to him because it does get intimidating to talk to in French every single day. So it was just nice to like debrief and like really just like really calm down after a long day. So yeah.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else want to add to that question? Okay, perfect. We have another question. I'm curious, was it anybody's first time traveling outside of the country, going on their French program?
Yeah, it was my first time.
Okay, nice. So someone asked, as someone who's never traveled out of the country, kind of what would that travel process look like for them? Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think I can touch on it a little bit. The process for me, well, I had to get my visa first. I got it relatively close to the date, and I wasn't really worried about traveling out of the country because I've been on like plane rides before, but this one was considerably longer. Like this was an 8-hour international flight. But CIEE allows you to travel in groups with other people who are studying abroad, and they're also like advisors who will be there with you. So it was like a really comfortable experience. I did end up sitting next to someone else who was studying abroad on the plane, and it's kind of like just your normal plane ride. After that, we all got off together. We traveled to our center together. I don't think it's that much different from traveling like within the country.
Yeah, thank you so much. Our chaperone flights are definitely a great option. Not only is it just nice to know you have someone there kind of guiding you through the travel process in case anything goes wrong, but you also, like Tamia said, you get that connection right off the bat and get to meet people right from the start. So it's definitely a great option to look into for those of you traveling with us this summer. And yes, Vanessa, you can definitely add to that.
So this was not my first time out of the country, but I didn't end up traveling on the chaperone flight. I ended up traveling on like you can also pick a flight that's not the chaperone flight, but interesting thing is so since all the program like everyone from your program starts on the same day, there's a decent chance that you will end up on flights with people from your program. I actually ended up running to into Elena on our layover in Montreal, so there was probably about 10 of us on our flight from Montreal to Toulouse, even though it wasn't a chaperone flight, so that can still happen.
Great, thank you. We have some questions about the food and meals. So first, maybe if someone could explain kind of how their meals looked like while they were on the trip, and any like experience having dinner with their host family or anything like that. And I'm also curious if all of you could share your favorite food while you were there. Selfishly, I also would love to know that too. Yes, anyone can start, just jump in.
For me, I am a foodie and like sort of going to France. I am an athlete, so like I've been used to like working out the whole summer and just having a lot to do. So it's a little bit different my day in France. But with breakfast, I ate with my host family. Um and there's a lot of fruit. I tried a lot of fruit for the first time like in France, and it in my opinion it was way better than the fruit here. And like little like cookies or snacks, a lot of sweet stuff for breakfast, not like eggs or like things that are heavy. For lunch, we used a stipend that CIE gave us each week. to buy our lunch. And that was often things like on the go. So like a sandwich or like a pasta bowl or something. And then for dinner, I ate with my host family. It was a little bit later than I'm used to here, but I got used to that. And that's just a cultural difference that France has. Um, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think that like I don't have any allergies and I'm not a picky eater, so it wasn't very hard for me to find options. And I strive to like eat French food because I was in France. But I know that a lot of people found like great places that were not like traditional French cuisine. I know people went and got poke bowls and like pizza and just like it was kind of like the food here. Like you can find everything. Um and there was even food in the cafeteria at our school, um, if you wanted to eat that, and that's an upgrade from American cafeteria food.
I would also like to add that you realize that food in France is actually really cheap. Like in some places they're really like I got like a whole like burger, fries, and like a drink for like $8 for €8, sorry, €8. So yeah, it's really cheap. And also you can find like many things. I think also in like one of my pictures in my slide, there was this diner. It was called Tommy's Diner, and it was basically a glorified 50s American diner. And it was just really funny to go there and just see what they thought of America. Cause like they had like a mural, all things American, from like JFK to like Marilyn Monroe. It was really funny to look at. It's like it's on the middle left, like the very end, right there. And it was called Tommy's Diner. It was an American diner, and it was just really fun to go to. And I just felt seen and at home when I saw like burger and fries and waffle fries especially. Yeah.
Another big part, especially in the south of France, is fish is really popular there. I mean, I grew up in Pennsylvania, so it's not like fish is crazy, but I was eating fish with my host family probably once a week, and I am not a big fish person, but I think it was absolutely delicious. And like Elena said, you can really try any types of cuisine there. I tried Thai food for the first time in France, and I came back and all my friends made fun of me for it. Um, But yeah, my favorite, I had this delicious salmon tart with my host family. And another thing is, a lot of the French food is in courses. You eat like your little appetizer, entree, and dessert after dinner isn't necessarily as sweet as American desserts. A lot of times it's fruit or yogurt, which is interesting because I feel like the French are known for their desserts.
Great. Thank you guys. That's a really good answer. So now I'm really hungry. So thank you for that. We have another great question that I would love to hear from you guys. Were there any moments that felt surreal on your trip? If anyone wants to jump in and answer that.
So there definitely were moments, but I have to say, in the beginning, it I was so in denial that I wasn't actually in France, so I didn't feel like I was in France. But there was a one moment, like at night, I was at Toulouse, at night, and it was like there was a Ferris wheel and there was the bridge, and me and my friends were just on it, and we were just talking, and it was just very like it was very calm. It was very serene, and it was just really like I was like, oh my god, I'm here in France. I'm like right here, and I'm having fun, and like it's really yeah.
So I had the fortune to travel to Paris in 2024 and they were setting up for the Olympics. So there was like a lot of Olympics, pre-Olympics events and like merch going on. And I got to see the Eiffel Tower sparkle at night. It basically like it kind of glitters for the first 5 minutes of every hour when it gets dark outside. And since it was also the Olympics, our program leaders took us out after curfew to see the pre-Olympics fireworks show that they had, and it was just like it just felt so surreal. It didn't feel real. Like I didn't know that that's something that happened. I got to see the Eiffel Tower sparkle again, and that's not something I thought I'd ever be able to see more than once because it was past curfew. And the fireworks, just like in the shapes of all the events from the Olympics, was just really, really nice, and not a moment that you can like photograph and be like, oh, I did this. It's just something you really have to keep in your heart.
I have another one, like another experience that felt surreal. While I was on program, I had a friend who's was also American. She lived like close to where I did, and I got really close to her and her host family too. And she was on the trimester program because she turned 18 while she was there. So after she left, me and another one of her friends who were close to her host parents asked us if we wanted to go to Bordeaux, which is a city on the west coast of France, with them. Like even after their like host kid, like their the kid that they hosted left, because we were so close, and so we got to go on a road trip to Bordeaux with another host family, and it was probably the coolest thing ever. And we sang French songs the whole way there in the car, and then we stayed at her parents' house, and it was like the cutest little house ever. And we went to the city and had dinner all together, and it was probably like the coolest thing ever, and it really did feel surreal.
Oh my gosh, wow, that's such amazing moments from all of you. Thank you all so much for sharing. That's so cool. We have two questions that kind of go hand in hand a little bit. So someone asked, what are some things that no one kind of talks about when discussing traveling abroad that you noticed while you were traveling? And also if there's anything that you wish you had known or any advice that you wish that you had gotten before traveling abroad, if anyone wants to touch on that.
I have a kind of silly one. Um, there are not that many public bathrooms that are really easy to find. Like, you cannot just go out and find a bathroom. Like, you have to go into an establishment, purchase something. There's not going to be a bathroom in your random grocery store. And when there are public bathrooms, there are full doors on all of those stalls. You're not going to find a flimsy American bathroom door.
Mine is also kind of silly, but like it's necessary because many countries don't have air conditioner, and it gets very hot in the summer, especially in France. When you're in the south of France, it gets really hot. So I would say bring a portable fan because that was very helpful on my trip. Also on the metro because people were there were stanky, and it was really really helpful.
I would honestly say, like, you think you're gonna need to pack a whole ton of stuff, but you're gonna buy so much stuff when you're there and save space because you don't wanna have to go buy, like, an extra suitcase or, like, be stranded with a ton of extra clothes or souvenirs. So yeah, pack light because you will buy a ton of stuff there.
I think it's good to have like a small bag that you can keep on you to hold like your wallet and your phone so that maybe if you don't need your like whole backpack for a day, you can just bring a smaller bag to carry around. And then similar to the bathrooms, I drink a lot of water, or I tried to when I was in France, but there aren't water fountains everywhere and carrying around a bottle gets heavy. So that's something a little bit different. Um and then yeah, and the public transportation that we use because we were in a city, was different than where I live because everybody drives cars in my town. It's very suburban. But I really liked public transportation, and it wasn't hard to navigate, and, like, over time, like, I got better at it, and it felt really rewarding.
Great, thank you. That's great advice. Definitely glad you all shared those little tips. Those are things people might not think about, but they're definitely important when you're traveling, going on your trip. So really appreciate that. Someone wants to know, what was the craziest thing, good or bad, that you saw abroad? I know the Olympic rings on the Eiffel Tower is pretty crazy to me, but if there's anything else anyone wants to share, a little crazy story, funny moment from your trip, definitely feel free to share.
One time, I actually got on the wrong train, and, it was a regional train, so it was gonna take me, like, pretty far away, um, but I'm still really proud of how I, like, managed that. I was able to, like, get off at the first stop before it went, like, really far into the countryside, and then I got on this other train to take me to this other station, and then I ended up finding my friends on the train that was gonna take us all the way back to our town. And it's funny because I I panicked, like, I had to communicate that I was, like, worried and stressed in another language, and now, if I'm, like, scared to do something, I kinda tell myself, like, "Well, at least I don't have to do it in French," because, like, there were some uncomfortable experiences that were new, and doing another language made it harder, but now, like, I came back here and I learned so much from that.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I think that's a really great thing that you mentioned that when you're traveling abroad, especially for the first time or one of the first times, there's going to be moments where things might go wrong or something's going to feel uncomfortable, but you're really going to push yourself out of your comfort zone and be better for it. But also at the same time, there's going to be so many people around you that are helping you and there to support you if anything goes wrong. So you're going to have plenty of resources. You're never going to be in a situation where you're on your own. Oh gosh, what am I supposed to do? You'll have plenty of resources around you, but you'll also be at the same time kind of forced to go out of your comfort zone, learn new things, and just really challenge yourself and learn things about yourself that you may not have even known you were able to do before. So it's a really cool experience, and I'm glad you touched on that.
I also have a fun, kind of funny, crazy story. So, years ago, I broke my front tooth. And then when I was out with my host family, I was eating a nectarine and I broke the cap off my tooth. And I wasn't in any pain because the nerve had died. And the first thing I did is I reached out to my program leader, and CIE handles things really well. They immediately had a dentist appointment for me. I think the next day I went to French dentist with a program leader. I didn't miss classes. It took maybe an hour, and we have the iNext insurance, so got reimbursed for it. And it was funny, the program leader that I went to the dentist with pointed out that you're not allowed to make any permanent changes, like you can't get piercings or tattoos, but I came back with a little piece of France in my teeth.
Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing, Vanessa. That's a funny story. Definitely not something I'm sure you were looking to go back for. Not the souvenir you were hoping for, but that's definitely a good story to keep with you. So another question is, how did you adjust to the time difference and how long did that take?
Well, I'm from New York, so the time difference between New York and Paris is 6 hours. Paris is 6 hours ahead of New York, and I wouldn't say that I had the best method. I just stayed up on the plane the entire time as if I was restarting my day. So then I would just go to bed at the end of the first day that we got there, because we got there and like in the morning since the time went forward, and then I also I kind of had to go through the whole day again, and I had been up for like over 24 hours at that point, but I did go to bed at a decent time afterwards. I'd say it took like around 4-ish days to adjust to the time difference just because my sleep schedule was so bad beforehand, and 6 hours is a lot, and it's generally said that for every hour that there's a time difference between two places, it takes a day to adjust.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else want to add their experience for the time difference and adjusting to that?
Yeah, so I actually don't know if I really adjusted to it because I don't know. But I tried to sleep on the plane going there, and I'm a very tall person, and the seats were very comfortable, and I kept waking up every single time. So I really didn't do, and also the TV entertainment system was broken, so I couldn't really do much. So I just sat there the whole time, awake. So I tried to sleep, and that happened. And then when I got here, we would always have like dinner at night, like really late at night, and I would like go to sleep at like 11. So I think that didn't help me trying to adjust to the time difference, but I think in the end it worked out somehow.
For me, I had kind of long days, because I had to wake up early, and I went to bed kinda late, but, like, it was kind of part of the fun that, like, I was tired and I often slept on the train to school, but for the time difference, I managed to sleep on the plane a little bit, I think, and then, like, the first day, I guess, was really long because, like, our night got cut short and, like, we just had a long day. Um, but then, like, I think it kinda just happened without me thinking about it because I definitely did adjust to the time. Um, and I know CIE stresses, like, not reaching out to people at home sort of at the beginning so that you don't, like, feel really homesick, and I did that, and I think it helped. Like, I like, it like, I wasn't getting feelings of FOMO or anything because I was having this cool experience on my own. And like, I didn't stay up to talk to my friends, because I was 6 hours ahead of them, and so that kinda made it easier also to distance myself from them.
Great. Thank you all so much for sharing. I think we've answered most of the questions in the Q&A, but if anyone has any last questions to add, definitely feel free to add them in. We can try to answer them before we end, or if any of our alumni here, you want to add any last thoughts or have anything else that we didn't touch on yet that you would like to share, we definitely still have time for you to add in.
A piece of advice that I would give, especially for France, at least for my year, is to keep track of the weather of where you're going, like before you actually study abroad, because I packed a lot of shorts. I had tracked the weather like maybe for a year before, but not really like close enough to the date. So I packed a lot of shorts thinking it was going to be warm, and then it just ended up being like really cold in the mornings. Most of the days really cold in the mornings, really cold in the afternoon, or we get this like one random day where it's super hot and I wasn't really like I didn't have the right type of clothes. I had to buy clothes in order to like just not freeze. So I would say check the weather.
My piece of advice would be just like relax and everything was like going to be okay. Like there's so many things that you can think of that could go wrong, but in the end, like everything will turn out just fine, like no matter what happens. And if there are problems, there's a lot of good like support there to help you get through them.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, we have one question. If any of you want to answer this, is how did you pick the city that you traveled to, and what made you want to study abroad there?
I
I
picked
went to Oh, I'm sorry.
we keep doing this. You go.
So I went to Toulouse. I think I was between Toulouse and France because I was kind of worried about like the Olympics in Paris because I went for July. So like I watched the Olympics with my host family. I actually went to Paris after with my family, the program, but that had nothing to do with CIE. Um, so I chose Toulouse because in the end, a family friend who is French told me that people in the south of France are nicer. Um, and also, I think that, like, I chose this because it was a bigger city than Rennes, and I kinda wanted, like, the city experience, and I'm really glad I did. I love that city, and sometimes I think about how, like, if I would go back, like, I would still remember how to navigate and everything. Um, and my brother also studied abroad there with the same program, so we kinda share that, and, like, we wanna go back there, like, when we're older and kinda because we each had our own experience, like, we weren't there at the same time. And, like, I'd love to, like, go to France and show my family that too, just because it was really important to me, and I think it will be for forever.
So my French teacher actually really encouraged the kids at our school to study abroad, and she studied abroad in, I believe, Toulouse when she was in high school, and I was really interested because of that. My high school tends to, when French kids study abroad, they tend to study abroad in Toulouse, and I was really interested because, if so many kids are studying abroad there, it must be awesome, and it was. And also, I had been to the north of France, so I really wanted to see the south just to have that comparison.
I have to say that Paris was actually my first choice, and I didn't get in because obviously the Olympics were happening and like there was like limited amount of space, and that was like totally fine with me. And Toulouse was my second option, But I chose Paris originally because I didn't know anything else about France. I didn't know about Paris, and I always wanted to go to France. That's why I took French my junior year and switched out of Spanish. But I was really lucky on the fact that there were some students last like they did this program like a couple like 2 summers ago, and they actually went to Toulouse, France, and they told me all about their experience, and that just really made me more excited to go to Toulouse. Um, and yeah, and the moral of the story is like if you don't get your first choice, it's fine because you'll have fun anyways. So yeah.
Great. We have another question. I think Tamia might be also typing her answer. So Tamia, definitely feel free to keep typing out your answer. But in the meantime, if anyone wants to add an answer to this, about you studying abroad and kind of what that conversation looked like. Something I can definitely say about that is that if parents do have questions, they want to hear from us, we are always happy to talk to them, and we are always constantly reaching out to them to make sure that they have all the information that they need to make sure that they feel comfortable and safe with you all traveling abroad. So we're definitely always here to answer any questions they have. So if they do have reservations, definitely have them be in touch with us, and we'd be more than happy to talk through anything with them. Great. So I don't see any more questions. Does any of our alumni have any last things to add? You guys have been great and so helpful, and so much great information. So I really appreciate all of you being here. Okay, great. Just some things to add, just to end off on. For those of you that are starting to apply to our programs or maybe are already in process of applying or have already applied, just some dates to keep in mind. So our deadline for scholarship applications is January 15th, but we do have a raffle going on. So if you apply by December 1st, you'll be entered into a raffle to win a free flight. I know that's coming up soon, but you do also have that school break coming up, so that could be a great time to kind of work on it to make sure you get in before that. Flights are the only thing not included in program tuition, so that could be a great way to just possibly get a chance of knocking that price off. Definitely also take a look at our website. We have a lot of different French programs, and our alumni have been great in really sharing so much about their different experiences on our programs. We also have program blogs from all of our French programs too. That could be a great resource to add on to all of that you've learned today, just to see and find out what program might fit you best. And we're also always here to answer any of your questions. You can call or email us at any time. We are open 9 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. If you do want to reach out to us through email or phone call, we'd be more than happy to give you all any information you need about our application process or any of our programs. And I just want to thank our alumni so much. Their slides were great, information great. So thank you so much. This has been really fun and a great conversation. So thank you all, and thank you all for joining in the audience. I hope you all learned a lot about our French programs and are excited to apply. And we're excited to be in touch with many of you and talk you through different program options. So yes, we definitely look forward to talking to you soon. And thank you all for joining me tonight.